Focus is not merely a habit of high performers. It is the very architecture of power itself. In a world drunk on distraction, the individual who possesses unbroken attention becomes a rare and dangerous force. Control of attention is control of destiny, for where your focus goes, your life follows. The world doesn't suffer from a lack of opportunity. It suffers from men too scattered to seize it. The average man wants everything, so he gets nothing. His attention is torn between 1,000 worthless desires. He scrolls, switches, shifts, flinches. He cannot sit still, cannot think deeply, cannot direct his energy for more than a moment before retreating into comfort or noise. He is harmless, he is predictable, he is weak, but the focused man, the man who has trained his mind to obey him, is feared, envied, and ultimately obeyed. A focused man has already won half the war before the battlefield is even chosen. Because the truth is, most battles today are not fought with swords, but with screens, notifications, and invisible chains of dopamine. The greatest threat to your strength is not a competitor. It is your own scattered mind. The algorithm doesn't want you sharp. It wants you sedated. The system does not fear your ambition. It fears your attention because once you place it fully on a single aim, you become immune to manipulation. The moment you command your focus, like a general commanding troops, your life begins to obey your will. The greatest empires were built not through luck or raw genius, but through the relentless application of concentrated energy over time. The same principle applies to you. If your attention is fragmented, you are already defeated. Every tab left open, every idle conversation, every minor distraction is not just costing you time, it is costing you clarity, momentum, and edge. Distraction is theft, and yet most men treat it like a friend. They welcome interruption as if it were harmless. But each small detour fractures the architecture of your discipline. Eventually, you become so scattered that you can no longer act decisively. You hesitate, you delay, you forget what you were even pursuing in the first place. You must begin to see your attention as sacred. Guard it like a fortress. Do not allow the world to feed on it. The mind is a field. What you plant grows. If your thoughts are dominated by junk, gossip, fear, or pleasure seeking, you will harvest nothing but decay. But if you discipline your attention toward mastery, strategy, and ambition, your mind becomes a weapon sharper than any blade. Most people don't even know what it feels like to be deeply focused anymore. They live in a haze of distraction, reacting instead of creating, consuming instead of building. Their power drains daily through the cracks of convenience. To control your focus, you must first silence the noise externally and internally. Turn your back on the circus. Train your mind to return to the task again and again, even when it protests. Discipline is not built in comfort. It is built in resistance. Every time you hold your focus when you want to check your phone, you are not just resisting a habit, you are rewriting your identity. You are transforming from a slave into a strategist. You are forging attention into influence, into results, into command. Let others be distracted. Let them scatter themselves into digital oblivion. Their fate is sealed, but you must treat your focus as the foundation of your empire. Not as something nice to have, but as something you must have to survive, to dominate, to rise. A man with absolute focus is a man who no longer negotiates with mediocrity. He does not ask for success. He bends the world to his vision through the sheer force of concentrated will. He does not multitask. He does not explain. He does not entertain the trivial. He moves with intention, speaks with clarity, and acts with unshakable direction. The focused man becomes inevitable. Power is not built by doing more. It is built by doing less with deadly precision. Focus demands sacrifice. The man who wishes to gain everything must first learn to subtract. Most men fall not because they lack ambition, but because they carry too much. They try to hold on to everyone, pursue every idea, respond to every message, and entertain every distraction. They drown in abundance. But the man who desires power must become a butcher, not a collector. He must strip away the excess, cut deep into his routines, sever ties with the pointless, and reduce his life to its most potent essence. Discipline is not about adding rules. It is about subtracting temptations. When your environment is bloated with distractions, your mind becomes bloated with indecision. Every option you leave open is a door through which weakness will walk. When your time is filled with noise, your vision becomes clouded. The world praises the man who is busy, but busyness is the camouflage of the ineffective. It gives the illusion of movement while hiding the absence of power. The one who is everywhere is nowhere. The one who responds to everything creates nothing. The one who tries to please all pleases none. To become dangerous, you must reduce, ruthlessly. Take a blade to your schedule. Eliminate the meetings, the conversations, the false obligations. Cut the unessential people from your life. Those who drain your energy, waste your time, and confuse your purpose. Do not hesitate. Loyalty to the unnecessary is betrayal to your mission. Most people do not rise because they cannot let go. They are sentimental about their distractions. They romanticize their comforts. They cling to the familiar even when it rots them from within. But a man on the path to greatness must be surgical, cold, unemotional in the face of clutter. Your energy is finite. Every moment of attention is a drop of blood. Would you willingly bleed for meaningless entertainment? Would you willingly die for gossip, for comfort, for a second dopamine hit? That is what you do every time you allow the unnecessary to live in your day. You don't lose your life all at once. You lose it in minutes, in hours, in slow poisonings of time. And the world is designed to keep you in this state. It wants you bloated, distracted, and full of noise. Because a man without clarity is a man easily manipulated. A man full of desires is a man without direction. The system thrives on your confusion. To reclaim your focus, you must become violent in your clarity. Do not just choose what to do, choose what you will never do again. Create a blacklist of time, wasters, thought, wasters, and energy leeches. Avoid them like disease. If it does not serve your strategy, it is an enemy to your future. Simplicity is not weakness. It is the ultimate sophistication. Complexity is a web. Simplicity is a sword. And the sword cuts through the fog that entraps the ordinary. Look at any great strategist, any true ruler of their domain. Their life is reduced to the essential. Their routines are minimal but immovable. Their tools are few but sharp. Their decisions are fast because they have nothing extra to consider. You must seek the same. You do not need more apps, more hacks, more systems. You need less junk, less noise, less movement. Focus is forged in subtraction. When you eliminate the distractions, what remains is raw power. Your attention must not be diluted. Like a beam of sunlight focused through a lens can burn through stone. Your energy must be concentrated to the point of destruction. This is not possible when you are scattered. This is not possible when you refuse to choose. Every yes is 1,000 no's. Choose poorly, and you bury yourself alive. Choose wisely, and you unleash force. The man who eliminates the unnecessary doesn't just gain time. He gains clarity, speed, and lethal advantage. In war, in business, in life, speed and clarity win. Delay is death, and indecision is the child of excess. Remove the excess, and you will move like a predator, not a prey. Your attention is the most valuable currency you will ever possess. Not your money, not your time, your focus. Because where your attention flows, your life follows. Every thought you entertain, every moment you observe, every scroll, every glance, every pause. It is an investment. And most men are bankrupt, not because they lack talent or ambition, but because they waste their attention like beggars throwing gold into the wind. They treat it casually, allow it to be stolen freely, and then wonder why their life lacks force. You do not become powerful by spreading your focus. You become powerful by owning it and deploying it with tyranny. The average man's attention is not his own. It belongs to the algorithm, the screen, the agenda of others. He is not a man. He is a puppet, constantly pulled toward the next notification, the next trending controversy, the next meaningless piece of content designed to fracture his mind and steal his will. He is always reacting, never directing, always watching, never building. But the man who learns to guard his attention becomes untouchable. He moves like a sovereign. He does not look where he is told to look. He looks where he chooses. His gaze is not passive. It is decisive, calculating, and fully under command. Attention is power because it is the gateway to all action. Before you can build, you must focus. Before you can act, you must perceive. Before you can conquer, you must choose where to strike. The focused mind is a weapon, and like any weapon, it must be sharpened and aimed. You must ask yourself, where is your attention going and who profits from it? Are you the beneficiary of your focus, or are you being harvested? Because make no mistake, there are entire industries built on hijacking your mind. They study your behavior, track your impulses, and design environments to keep you passive, entertained, and useless. They don't want your money first, they want your gaze. Because where your gaze goes, your choices follow. To reverse this, you must treat your attention like a ruthless ruler guards his borders. You must patrol it, enforce it, and deny entry to the unworthy. Every app you use, every person you interact with, every thought you dwell on must be evaluated like a transaction. Ask, is this making me stronger or weaker? Is this serving my empire or feeding someone else's? The man who asks these questions begins to reclaim dominion over his own mind. He stops scattering his energy and starts consolidating it. He stops chasing novelty and starts investing in depth. Most people live in mental poverty because they never made the decision to govern their attention. They believe focus is something that happens by chance, or something they'll get back to once the chaos settles. But the chaos will never settle. The noise will never stop. You must build your focus like a fortress amidst it. And that requires rules. You do not look at what is irrelevant. You do not listen to what is petty. You do not respond to what is beneath you. Your mind is a throne. Not every voice deserves an audience. A tyrant does not explain his decisions to the mob. You owe no one your attention. You do not need to be available. You do not need to be informed about everything. The world demands you be plugged in, responsive, emotionally involved. This is a trap. The powerful are silent, not because they are detached, but because they are focused. Their energy is spent on building, not reacting. They know the cost of distraction, and they refuse to pay it. Their attention is their own, and because of that, so is their future. Begin to see every minute of attention like a gold coin. Would you hand it to a clown? Would you waste it on petty arguments, seductive headlines, or endless scrolling? Every coin you give away feeds another man's empire. Stop building for them. Withdraw your energy. Invest it like a tyrant, coldly, strategically, and with absolute control. Only then will your focus compound into mastery. Only then will your life begin to reflect the vision you hold. The man who owns his attention owns his reality. Solitude is not silence. It is not a retreat. It is the war room of the mind. It is where clarity is sharpened, where vision is formed, and where power begins its ascent. The masses avoid solitude because it terrifies them. In the absence of noise, they are left with themselves, and they discover there is nothing within. No structure, no aim, no voice of command. Just mental clutter and unresolved weakness. But the man who turns solitude into strategy becomes something else entirely. He becomes dangerous because while the herd panics in silence, he plots in it. While they seek validation, he builds domination. The modern world is allergic to solitude because it has trained men to believe that constant connection is a virtue, that being plugged in, up to date, and responsive is a sign of relevance. It is not. It is a sign of weakness. The man who cannot be alone with his thoughts is a man who has never met his mind, and a man who has never met his mind will never master it. Solitude is where you confront yourself, your ambitions, your lies, your chaos, your hunger. In that confrontation, you refine. You begin to strip away the parts of yourself that were shaped by the world and uncover the part that was forged for war. True strategy is never born in meetings, in public forums, or in group chats. It is born in silence, in the deep hours of the morning, in the quiet moments when the rest of the world is asleep, and the noise dies just enough for your inner voice to speak clearly. That voice is your most potent weapon, but you will never hear it in a crowd. You will never hear it if you are constantly reacting. Solitude is the condition for originality, and originality is the foundation of true power. When you think like everyone, you move like everyone. When you think alone, you move ahead. Solitude trains your mind to be sovereign. When no one is watching, when no one is guiding, when no one is speaking, you must become your own authority. You must command yourself. In that practice, discipline that it doesn't no amount of owing, we have publ all I. The pressure cancers shake. You begin to think in straight lines. You begin to see 10 steps ahead. You begin to anticipate, not just react. This is where focus crystallizes into foresight, and foresight is what separates rulers from the ruled. Do not confuse solitude with isolation. You do not need to abandon the world. You need to detach from its pull. You need to create sacred space where you are unreachable. Not as an escape, but as an operation room. You are not running from people. You are running calculations. You are not withdrawing from life. You are sharpening your blade before the next strike. Solitude, when used correctly, is not stillness. It is preparation. It is organization. It is design. Every minute alone becomes a movement of strategy. Every thought is examined, every weakness studied, every pattern refined. You are engineering yourself while the world wastes itself. The powerful man seeks solitude as a daily ritual, not for peace, but for dominance. He understands that thinking deeply is not optional. It is survival. In a world that thrives on shallow thought, his depth becomes his leverage. While others rush to speak, he listens. While others rush to act, he observes. While others react to everything, he moves only when the strike is clean, lethal, and unrecoverable. Solitude gives him this edge. It is not a luxury, it is a necessity. When you make solitude a discipline, the world begins to make sense. The chaos untangles, the false desires fall away, the unnecessary fades, and what remains is clarity, sharp, undeniable, and merciless. With that clarity, you begin to make decisions that no longer come from pressure, panic, or popularity. They come from principle. They come from your internal code, not external noise. And once you start moving from that place, you become immovable. The world cannot seduce you because you have already heard a louder voice, your own. The world cannot distract you because your strategy has already been set in stone. You no longer follow events, you shape them. You no longer hope, you execute. Comfort is the silent killer of men. It whispers promises of peace, ease, and pleasure, while slowly draining your will, dulling your instincts, and weakening your resolve. It is the poison disguised as paradise. The man who lives in comfort forgets how to suffer, and in forgetting how to suffer, he forgets how to win. His clarity dies first, then his ambition, then his very identity. He becomes soft, not just in body but in mind. And once the mind softens, life begins to own him. Comfort is a trap because it imitates success. The warm bed, the full stomach, the idle time. It feels like you've earned something, but you've earned nothing. You have merely delayed your hunger. Comfort gives you the illusion of safety, but robs you of growth. No empire has ever risen from a place of ease. No revolution ever began with a man fully content. Progress is born from discomfort. Transformation demands it. A man who is never cold, never tired, never tested is a man who will crumble the moment pressure arrives. You must learn to hunt discomfort, to chase it, not avoid it. The mind sharpens in cold showers, in early mornings, in lonely hours spent building something invisible. The body strengthens under stress, under fatigue, under the weight of repetition. Discipline is not built when you feel good. It is built when you move forward despite not feeling anything at all. And clarity, that rare and dangerous gift, emerges not when life is easy, but when life is stripped down to what truly matters. You begin to see clearly when comfort is removed, because only then can you hear your own thoughts without the noise of indulgence. Comfort feeds distraction. It makes your senses dull. You begin to tolerate things that once insulted your spirit. You make excuses for laziness. You negotiate with your standards. You justify mediocrity because you no longer feel the sting of being average. Comfort convinces you that later is a strategy, that good enough is acceptable, that tomorrow is still in your control. But it's not. Every time you delay discomfort, you delay your dominance, you delay your evolution. The man you were meant to become is not found in the ease of the moment. He is found in the fire. This is why discomfort must not be accidental. It must be engineered. Wake before the world does, not to be virtuous, but to be untouchable. Say no to pleasures, not to suffer, but to strengthen your command over self. Do the hard task first, not because it's urgent, but because it reminds your mind who is in control. The world will offer you 1,000 ways to be comfortable, 1,000 justifications to stop pushing, 1,000 distractions to keep you calm. Reject them, all of them. Clarity comes when you stand in opposition to ease. When you become immune to the seduction of comfort, you begin to see reality as it is. Most people walk around dazed, not because they are stupid, but because they are comfortable. Their instincts are dormant. Their edge has vanished. They have never had to fight for a vision, or bleed for a result, or sit in silence while the world mocks their discipline. And so, they never discover their real power. Power comes from struggle, not meaningless struggle, but chosen struggle. The struggle to stay consistent. The struggle to delay gratification. The struggle to keep your word to yourself when no one is watching. These are the fires that forge clarity. These are the trials that separate the wolves from the sheep. The mistake most men make is trying to add clarity through tactics, planners, checklists, endless optimization. But clarity isn't found through tools. It is found through battle. It is earned when you suffer deliberately. When you subtract the comforts that numb your awareness and force yourself into the harsh light of discipline. That's when the fog lifts. That's when you begin to know who you are. The man who cannot delay gratification will never have vision. His mind will always belong to the next temptation, the next craving, the next lie. The mind becomes lethal only when it has suffered. Not broken suffering, but chosen hardship, the kind of pain that builds a callus on your thoughts, the kind of resistance that forges indifference to what the world thinks, what it offers, what it tries to bribe you with. This is how leaders are born, not from luxury, but from controlled war. You must go to war with comfort daily. You must look it in the face and walk the other direction, because clarity isn't handed to the weak. It's a reward for those who suffer with purpose. There is a kind of focus that only exists on the other side of pain, a kind of vision that only emerges when every excuse has been burned away and only the mission remains. You do not find that state by indulging in softness. You do not find it by allowing every desire to live inside you. You find it by denying yourself the easy path and taking the one that makes you bleed. That path is not crowded. Most avoid it. That's why those who walk it stand alone and why they are followed. People do not follow those who are merely comfortable. They follow those who have conquered comfort. Every time you choose the harder option, you remind your brain that you are not ruled by comfort. You are ruled by will. And will is the birthplace of all clarity. Because once you stop needing to feel good, you start seeing what is true. Not what is convenient, not what is popular, what is true. And once you can see what is true, you can act with precision, with force, with unshakable direction. Most men wander because their vision is fogged by pleasure. But the man who kills comfort walks with fire in his eyes and steel in his spine. His focus cuts through the noise. His discipline silences the doubt. He becomes inevitable because he has removed the only thing that ever stood in his way: his desire to feel good. You are not here to be comfortable. You are not here to be liked, distracted, or entertained. You are here to build, to dominate, to become undeniable. Focus is not a personality trait. It is a weapon. And in an age where attention is hijacked, stolen, and sold, reclaiming it is the ultimate act of rebellion. You must treat every second of your awareness like it holds the fate of your empire, because it does. Cut the noise, eliminate the unnecessary, command your time like a tyrant, retreat into solitude not for peace, but for clarity. Reject comfort like poison and hunt discomfort like prey. While the world scatters itself thin, you will sharpen your edge in silence. You will move with intent, think with power, and act with finality. You are not like them. You see what they cannot. You feel what they've buried, and that makes you dangerous. Let them sleep. You'll be plotting. Let them scroll. You'll be building. Let them waste their lives. You'll own yours. Focus isn't your tool. It's your throne. Sit on it. Rule.